But overall, we need to just remember that this operation perhaps would not have been necessary if Ukraine had the permission of our partners to use long-range weapons to strike Russian war machinery, their war infrastructure. We need to be able to destroy their airfields. We need to be able to disrupt their logistics. We need to degrade their capacity to attack Ukraine. And this is the primary objective: protect Ukrainian people and degrade Russian army so that it stops terrorizing our country.
Now, Ukraine is hoping its offensive into Russia could change the narrative of the 2.5-year-long war. After months of attritional fighting, the surprise incursion has given momentum to the Ukrainian forces, and their capture of hundreds of Russian soldiers will strengthen their hand in prisoner exchange negotiations. Let's speak now to Yuriy Sak, who is advisor to the Minister of Strategic Industries in Ukraine. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Chloe.
Thank you for being with us. First of all, I want to ask you about news which was broken overnight about Germany freezing its military aid to Ukraine, saying that it's got a domestic budget crisis and it simply can't afford to supply Ukraine with new weapons. How worrying is that for you?
Ukraine's ambassador to Germany already made a statement after yesterday's news that this is not entirely correct. What was reported. The financial year for Germany will be planned further in the autumn, and we'll have to wait what happens. But for now, Germany has said it very clearly that they will fulfill all the commitments that they have made so far, and we'll have to wait what happens in autumn. But overall, we have the support of our partners. And it continues, and it's vital to our defense operations.
I want to ask you about the incursion into the Kursk region of Russia. Were you, and indeed the Ukrainian government, surprised at, well, essentially how easy it was to not only enter the region, but make progress and so far hold on to territory?
This was a very meticulously planned operation, and of course, there was a lot of intelligence data gathering that happened before the implementation of the operation. But if we look actually at the front lines, and if we remember that for months now, Russians have been really struggling. It's fierce fighting. It's really difficult. But the advances the Russians have been able to make in some parts of the front line are only incremental, and they achieve them at a tremendous cost. We are degrading their army in all possible ways. Their manpower is being destroyed, their artillery is being destroyed, their heavy machinery is being destroyed. So in a way, it is logical that, with the intensity of the war that we have on the front lines, and the front lines, mind you, is now almost 1,000 kilometers long. So it shouldn't actually be surprising that, that Russia has left some parts of their border unprotected. But of course, for us, the main factor of success was the element of surprise in terms of our planning. And, we have shown again to the world that we're capable. This is what our president said. We're capable of surprise operations. We are fully conscious of the fact that this war is very similar to the fight between David and Goliath. Russia is a larger country. It has much more resource base, bigger resource base. It has more manpower. But at the same time, when we act asymmetrically, when we fight a smart war, we are achieving the success that surprises everybody.
And clearly, I'm not expecting you to give us military strategy secrets here on the radio, clearly, but give us a sense of what the aim is here. Is the aim to essentially hold the territory and use this maybe as a bargaining chip in ceasefire negotiations? What is the aim?
This operation is part of our larger defense strategy. The aim number one is to protect Ukrainian people, to protect Ukrainian cities. Kursk region is a part of Russia from where Russian aggressive forces have been attacking Ukraine. And just during the summer months, they have launched more than 2,000 different types of attacks on Ukraine. Missiles, Shahed drones, artillery, multiple launch rocket systems. So, and it just glided bombs, over 250 in the summer months. So, of course, this is, objective number one, make sure that we incapacitate those Russian formations and war infrastructure, which is carrying out attacks on our country. Objective number two, we have taken hundreds by now of Russian prisoners of war, and that will allow us to, of course, exchange and return back the Ukrainian soldiers who are kept in Russia. Of course, another objective is to overall improve Ukraine's positions, because potentially when and if there will be negotiations, we need to enter those negotiations with a strong hand. And, this operation has done just that. But overall, we need to just remember that this operation perhaps would not have been necessary if Ukraine had the permission of our partners to use long-range weapons to strike Russian war machinery, their war infrastructure. We need to be able to destroy their airfields. We need to be able to disrupt their logistics. We need to degrade their capacity to attack Ukraine. And this is the primary objective: protect Ukrainian people and degrade Russian army so that it stops terrorizing our country.
And so are you talking about things like the Storm Shadow cruise missile, which can't be used at the moment because it requires the permission of both the US and France, which isn't forthcoming?
Yes, exactly. United States of America, United Kingdom, France, Germany, they are, our strategic partners. They provide us with a lot of support, and we are very grateful for that support. But at the same time, it's been the story of this more than 2.5 years long war that the important decisions are taken by our partners mostly a bit too late. So we're just trying to explain that, look, the red lines of which everybody's worried about, and this rhetoric of escalation, this operation has shown that Russia is bluffing, and Russia is banking on fear and shouldn't be allowed to do that. So the permission to use long-range weapons would be a very important one at this stage of the war. We all must act together to not allow this to continue to be a war of attrition. And we need to create conditions under which the war will be unsustainable for Russia. And long-range strikes are an important next step, and we hope that it will happen.
Really interesting to speak to you this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chloe.
There's Yuriy Sak. He is advisor to the Minister of Strategic Industries in Ukraine. So that's really interesting, because one of the points I was going to put to him, but he sort of answered for us. A Russian MP on Friday was saying that the presence of Western military equipment in the attack in Kursk meant the world is on the brink of World War III. But Yuriy Sak has just said there, nothing has happened since this incursion a couple of weeks ago. And his words were that Russia is bluffing. It is banking on fear. And he says, very grateful to the Western allies who've provided all of this military aid and military support. But actually, it's been a bit too slow. And we need to be on the front foot now. And there needs to be decisions made so they can use things, for example, like the Storm Shadow cruise missile. Really, really interesting to hear from him.
Absolutely.